Loud. Hey, good morning, everybody. It is December 27th. You'd think I'd know what day it is. The 27th. Thursday morning. And I'm so excited about this morning because I got to tell you, this meditation crap they talk about, it's pretty cool. I was meditating this morning when I woke up, and this thing came to me. I'm like, I've always liked this binary comparison to things. And one of them was, this morning that popped up, was this phenomenon of distraction. I know myself, with all of the things that I've done and do, I seem to get distracted quite a bit. But the funniest thing about distraction is there is no such thing as distraction. There isn't. And that's what we're going to talk about this morning. There is only traction. See, when we use the word distraction means we've lost traction. It's something that keeps, and I'll show you the definition, but the thing that hit me, so I grew up on a farm. And not that that's a prerequisite for me being an expert in distraction, but it isn't me being an expert in pulling things out of the mud. Anybody ever get their car stuck? Right? Anybody ever been on a slippery road? Well, does it ever snow where you're at, Elaine? If we've ever been on a slippery road, we said we're what? Or we walked on an icy sidewalk, we said what? I slipped. When a car's trying to go up the hill, when we all watch that video where the tractor trailer goes up the hill and then it starts to slide back, it lost what? Traction. So we're going to talk about that. There's only traction. There is no distraction. Traction is that we've weakened our own attraction. We've weakened our own process moving forward. So I could be totally as crazy as a loon with this, but it's just something that that it just sat with me this morning, and I'm like, wait a minute, where does this coming from? Where does this go? So let me share here. Well, before we get into that, does anybody have anything sitting on their heart that they need to jump out with and share? Does anybody have any of this? Oh my gosh, this woke me up this morning like heartburn. Okay, cool. Yay. So here we go. Share screen, share this, share. Okay. So here's the fun thing about this concept we're going to be talking about. There is no such thing as distraction. Y'all can see my screen, yes? You see the slide? Okay, good. So how are we led to believe this word distraction? How many of us believe sometimes there's words that we use that are, and this is a powerful word, at least I think it is, I'm not sure the definition, insidious to our success. There's some words out there that are absolutely insidious. They cause us so much problems. And we use them every day, like the word H-A-T-E. I don't even like to say it. That word just does so many things to our body, it's crazy. So distraction, this is the definition. A thing that prevents someone from giving full attention to something else. That makes sense, right? Well, if you're riding on a road, Elaine, I don't know if they still allow it. Do you remember putting studs in your tires?
Yeah, they don't in Ontario, but out in BC, you have to have chains on your tires to be up in the mountains.
Okay, and the reason you put chains on your tires is to increase your what?
I guess your traction, keep you.
That's all it is.
Yeah.
Because the tires are not designed to deal with the snow. The snow gets so cold, or it gets this, and they just slip. And the chains break up the surface area. So anyway, so it's designed to increase your traction, and it's a law that you have to have them in certain parts of the country. So here's my question. How many of us have ever felt we were slipping in our goals? We were sliding, and we were just totally lost. Anybody ever do a 360 in a car? Right? And you just hang on for dear life and you go, ain't nothing I can do. So that same thing happens into our life, and it's the traction that we have. It's something that prevents us from giving full attention to something else. What is the something? So I can promise you this, that if Mason, God forbid, had to go to the hospital yesterday, if any of your family had to go to the hospital yesterday, and all of your vehicles were broken, there was no 911, you'd be breaking into a car. Your traction to getting to that destination would be insurmountable. There'd be nothing that could stop you. So why is it then that we go on a daily basis and we lose traction on our goals? We feel like we're slipping. We feel like we're sliding. We come up with 1,001 excuses of why we can't get there. It's because of what we're letting attract us is being stronger than what we're attracting to us. It's just that simple. We can come up with 1,001 explanations for it, but you'll probably be talking over my head. I'm a farm boy. So let's look at this. How much time, so ask yourself this, how much time do you spend in traction? Right? The word just hit me again. Anybody ever have in an accident or something where their spine compressed and they had to be put into what? Traction. Had to pull them apart. So what is the traction? Here's the reality. We spend 100% of our day in traction. We're either drawing it to us or we're being drawn to it. That's it. It's that old expression, there is no stationary. You're either growing or you're dying. So you're either attracted to the grave or attracted to joy. So here's my question. How much of your day do you spend in traction to what you want? We talked about it yesterday when Kyle Seastead was talking about your 10s. How much of your time do you spend in 10s? I'd be curious, how much of your time do you believe you spend in attracting, in this law of attraction that we've all talked about since the movie came out? How much of your day do you actually spend, do you think you spend drawing in your goals? Do you think it's less than 80% of your day? You think it's less than 50% of your day? Do you even have a clue how much time you spend in drawing in, thinking about? 70,000 thoughts a day. How many of those do you think are spent in attracting what you want or confirming that you should be distracted? It's pretty, I mean, if you start to think about how much time we actually spend in drawing stuff in, see this in the mornings, right? This is a distraction. Let's be clear. This call with High Energy Misfits is a distraction. I attracted you into this little Zoom. Now, the question then is, can I be distracted and still in traction? Can I have something that pulls me off of my goal, but it still be me on my path towards my goal? And the answer to that is what? Absolutely freaking yes. Because if we knew the how, we just go out and do the how to get to our goal. We don't know the how. It's when your why is strong enough, the how will appear. When your desire, when your pull, any of us ever see Star Wars? Right? The Millennial Falcon is a pretty darn strong, fastest ship in the whatever, universe, galaxy. But when it gets into the tractor beam, nothing they can do. So there's things that attract you. There's these tractor beams that pull you off your track, and there's nothing you can do to get out of it. Sometimes you got to leave the ship. Well, they weren't leaving the ship. So how much of your day is spent in slipping? Here's the hard part. And this is what hit me. This is why I'm like, oh my God, I can finally explain it to myself. If I'm not drawing to, if I'm not winning the tug of war, anybody ever been in a tug of war? Who did we want on our tug of war? We wanted the kid that never got picked for basketball. You wanted Murph. You wanted the big, heavy kid who couldn't do a whole lot, and you put him where? As the anchor. What is your anchor that you're pulling your attraction to? What are you using to pull it? So here's the reality. If you're less, say you're 45% of your day in traction. Now that this hit me this morning, I'm going to be aware of this. I'll bet I'm probably not even close to that. That means the rest of the time, somebody else is pulling on my rope. Somebody else is, we use all these phrases. Who's ever heard of the phrase, yanking my chain? Right? Man, it just slipped away. Well, it didn't slip away. You didn't have enough traction to pull it to you. Does any of this make sense? Okay. Here's the next slide. The requirements. So, for most of us, how do you reference strength to pull something? What's a common phrase that we use to pull something? Horsepower. Right? My daddy used to have a phrase, don't let your alligator mouth overload your hummingbird ass. How many times have we said we could do a whole bunch of stuff, but all we had was a hummingbird to make it happen? Ain't gonna happen. So if we reference horsepower, I'm going to ask you right now, how many of us have a goal that's pretty big, right? Our BHAG, big, hairy, audacious goal. How much horsepower do we have to get it? Is this starting to make sense? Right? Leslie, how many horses do you pull in a trailer?
We can pull up to 10 in the semi.
Okay, so why don't you hook that up to a smart car?
You could, kind of. Behind you. You didn't say in front or behind.
Exactly. So in a semi, so tractor trailers, so semis are anywhere from 300 to 600 horsepower.
Mm-hmm.
Depending upon whether there's trucks that are rated that they buy the truck specifically because they're going to go over hills. How many of us have hills in our goals? How many of us have freaking mountains that we don't even know we need to climb? And we're trying to go with a 10 horse trailer behind us that should have a tractor trailer with a fifth wheel hookup and air brakes and all this stuff. And we're trying to go, okay, I got my Yugo. And we go to a meeting, we go to a workshop for 3 days, and we get all fired up, and we think our Yugo, we think our smart car is a semi. And when we're told and we're led to believe you can do it. Well, yeah, you can. You can learn how to drive a semi. Get the hell out of the Yugo. And we're trying to drive around, and we're pissed off, and we're frustrated going, well, I'm watching Leslie go by, and she's got 10 horses. I can't even hook up to the trailer. It's because we haven't changed the horsepower inside of us. How many of us, when we feel inspiration, that's horsepower? How many of us, when we feel excited and oh my God, I'm on task, I'm on target, and it flows out of you, that's your horsepower. How do you define traction? How do you define your ability to just dig in, right? We use a mule typically as it, right? Dug in her front 2 feet. Well, why don't you dig in your front 2 feet and say, when something starts to distract you, learn how to say what? No. Yeah, but I'm going to hurt somebody's feelings. My daddy wouldn't say this. I'd say this. Sucks to be them. This is not a dress rehearsal. If you're letting... We use these phrases. This is what was hitting me this morning. I'm not going to apologize for my excitement, but if you haven't had your coffee yet. But life just slipped away. Well, gosh dang it, there's the example. I just feel time is slipping away. Well, dig your damn feet in. You deserve to have the traction you need. And I'm going to make an educated guess based upon my years of experience. Ladies, you let the world distract you because you want to be nice. It's if you do anything for yourself, it's called selfish. I wish I could be more like them, guys, or more like her, right? And if there is a woman who's this, we have a phrase for them, a name for them, a woman who just absolutely is 100% for themselves. We call them a bitch on wheels. Why? Well, playing the man's game, she's doing the same thing. This is not men or women. This is us. And in this moment, our traction comes when we learn to say no. When we learn to say no, and we can say, no, not right now, but when we learn to say no, that puts chains on our dreams. That puts chains on this engine called me that says, I'm moving towards me. I'll help you as much as I can. This is the thing we talk about in network marketing all the time, and I could never connect it. I understood it, but I couldn't connect the dots. When people say, I want to go help a lot of people, then you need to be rich. Oh, no, I just want to help a lot of people. You can't help a lot of people being poor, right? Linda and her husband preach. Well, they can't be poor in spirit and preach. They can't be poor in faith and preach. They got to go get, they're giving it away. It's the goodwill of good faith, of good energy, and people come to them and they want to hear the message. They can't stand up there and go, yeah, you should be good to people. What? You need to recite verse and chapter and be able to tell me all this stuff so I can go, wow, I want to get better. So all of this is coming to me. So what do you need to increase your traction and your speed? What do you need to do to increase your horsepower and your ability to stay on track? Well, Sean, you know, if you've ever listened to Bob Proctor, and he talked about it, when we launch a rocket, and the universal laws, the 7 universal laws says that we can predict within a fraction of a second of a rocket landing on the moon. Yes, I agree with that. Bob did talk about that. Well, then Bob went on to say that of all of the time from point A to point B, it was only ever on track 3% of the time. And that's an absolute fact. So 97% of the time, it was off track. It was slipping. See, an aircraft, anybody pilot? In aircraft, when a plane starts to drift, we don't call it sliding because you're sliding through the air to begin with. We call it drifting. Right? When those cars, the new thing, when they go around a curve and they're like, the wheels are totally in the opposite direction they should be, they call it drifting. All aircraft drift. They've got a rudder, they've got tail fins, they got ailerons, they got all of this stuff, and they got engines, right? I can get in a little, with Tom Chenault, right? If I wanted to go fly with Tom Chenault, I'd get in a little single engine plane, little 4-seater Cessna, and we get off and we go, and we take off and we go, this is cool. But if I really want to get somewhere, I'll go on a commercial flight or private jet, and that thing takes off and it just sounds different. Whoosh, and away it goes. So what is the track? What do you do? I'll take a minute. Where does your horsepower come from? Some of us may call it faith. Some of us may call it belief. Some of us may call it conviction and focus. Right? There's 35,000 emotions. You can use any name that you want to describe it, but how are you going to increase your traction, your faith in you, your ability to stay stuck on your goal? Yeah, but I write down goals all the time and I never get the shit done. Well, my mentor would say, you're right, I'm rich, let's move on. There's certain things that we need to do that needs to increase our traction. And one of them is getting clear on our goals. One of the, I believe, I know I have in the last 8 days of doing this, it's changed my world. I was going to say something less than, but it's not. I wake up and I look at the clock now and I go, oh my God, I've done so much. What time is it? 8:30. Are you kidding me? I'm unemployed. It should be like, I shouldn't wake up till noon. Okay, a couple more slides and then discussion time. So here's what I'm going to ask you to do. Here's the cool thing about this. When I did these slides a couple of days ago, every time we go to do a PowerPoint, I'm like, oh, I got to create a new slides. What I'm just doing is I'm going in and I'm changing these slides. It's only 7 slides. And we could use this, I hope, with all of the things that we do we do every day. So write down your traction upgrades. Now, when I say traction upgrades means what are you going to do to learn how to say no more, to dig your feet in, to really to put chains on your goals? Or horsepower. What are you going to do to increase your horsepower so you can get it faster? Sometimes increasing your horsepower means I can't even say it. Your horsepower means that, you're going to ask for help. See, whether you like it or not, you've increased my horsepower, right? When you've got to go present, when you've got to go prepare, when you've got to go show up and give some information, you got to get better at it. And I believe in the principle of Kaizen, 1/10 of 1% every day. So you're increasing my horsepower very self-fully. These calls are forcing me to get better. And that's you. You're all of my horsepower. Whether you know it or not, I've asked you to help me. Well, we're just showing up. This is great stuff. Possibly. I sure hope so. But what I love more about it is the great stuff that you give me back. And that's by making me just get better. So some of mine on my list is do more presentations. I was watching guys who own the software Kajabi. And they said, yes, we're a software company that allows people to, build their websites and do all of this stuff. He says, but we're a content company. And if the cameras aren't rolling, we're not making money. So if we're not doing a training video, a promotional video, or this video, and that's what I learned, I realized, I go, if I'm not in front of a camera, me talking to Mason, me talking to the puppies, ain't doing a whole lot for my income. So part of mine is exposure, right? I put something out on Facebook last night, doing free calls, coaching calls, 25-minute coaching calls. And I was shocked. Christine, thank you. You're going to get something special because you were the first one to book it. That's like I posted it and all of a sudden it was like, bam. It's like, wait a minute. Somebody said they wanted to talk to me. And I know that sounds funny, but you've got to, it's me, right? You all, oh my God, that'd be cool. We get to spend time with you every morning. Yes, but when I put it out there into the general public, that's one of my big fears. That's one of my big losses of traction, is that nobody's going to like me. And I know that sounds crazy, but it's true to me. So I'm just sharing with you, showing that if you're scared sometimes of putting yourself out there, I am too, on a regular basis. Because as egotistic as it may sound, well, nobody liked my video yet. Right? Nobody's liked my post. That's you. That's the universe going, let's see how much traction you got there, Skippy. You're gonna put stuff out there, and let's see if nobody likes it, if you still believe you should be on the path. Well, no, now I gotta go dye the tips of my hair so that I can look cool. Probably not gonna happen. What keeps us from? So remember the 4 stages we talked about, Kyle Cease talked about? Fear. Picture this. How many of you have ever played hide and seek with somebody, right? And so if you ever played hide and seek and you knew they were hiding in the room and there's no light on, and it's your room in your house and it's somebody that you know, how many of you were afraid to go into the room? So imagine this. This is the vision I got. Use yours. Use this as an example. I picture this big rope that I'm pulling from this darkness. And I'm pulling and I'm pulling, and sometimes it pulls back and sometimes it pulls back strong. So there's something big on the other end of this. If I'm pulling from a dark room and it pulls back, what am I going to instantly think's on the other end of that? Something great or something not so great? Something that wants to come to me or something that wants to eat me? So I'm pulling and I say, Leslie, help me pull, help me with my success, help me towards my goal. And Leslie gets on there and it jerks us both back and says, oh, I ain't doing that again. Right? Sometimes when we elevate our level, sometimes when we move to the next level, we wind up losing some friends. How many of us has that happened to? So all of us, so then we find new friends. Elaine, oh my gosh, we haven't talked in years. Grab the rope. Wait a minute, I'm on my own rope. Okay, well then let me help you. Right? All of a sudden we're pulling this thing from the dark room. And then because everybody's got a little miner's light on, I get enough people that's helping me pull my rope that's showing up, we can start to see into that darkness and it starts to take shape. How many of us have ever seen something in the dark that we like, oh, what the hell is that? And then we go, oh, well, geez, I forgot that was there. Right? And so that's what I got this thing of dreams is like traction. It's like, well, shit, that scares the hell out of me. Let the rope go. Oh, I got to start all over again. Pick up the rope and you start pulling. So that's the fear part. Sadness is, right, the 4 stages that Kyle talked about. The sadness is how long is this damn rope? I've been doing this for 20 years. Well, there's something still on the other end of it. If there's a draw, if there's a pull, if there's something that's making your heart go, I need that, I want that, then there's something still hooked up to the other end of the damn rope, because if you pulled it and there was nothing there, and then the other 2 stages are excited. We can see it and we go, oh shit, look, it's what I wanted. And then we can really start pulling. We get our energy and then it becomes normal. Ain't nothing but a thing. There is so much normal you have right now in your life that was the scariest shit you could ever thought about 10 years ago, 15 years ago. Seriously, there's so much that has become normal in your life that you have said no to, that there was no way 10 years ago you could have ever said no to. So it goes back to the book that just jumped into my head is Price Pritchard's U Squared, The Quantum Leap. In the dark room is some goal way out here. But the quantum leap says that if we can go in any direction in time, most of us, so I see there's ladies here, and I've asked this before, how many of you can remember your first kiss? And if I look at the faces, a lot of times there's usually giggles that happens on ladies' faces. Because sometimes that first kiss wasn't really the best one. And especially if it was their first kiss. You'd be like, well, what was that? But so my guess is it wasn't yesterday or yesteryear. It was a few years ago. So in time, we went from here to there. Humans are the only thing that put time as a thing, that put time as a place. So if we can go back to this place and now let's go forward, why can't we go forward to the goal? Well, we don't have a memory of it. That's why they tell us to create your story. When you wake up in the morning, your ideal day, what are you looking at? When you wake up, do you smell the coffee? They ask you to involve all of your senses. Because if I asked you to go back to something, there's some things you can think in your life that you would get you'd break out in a sweat if you thought about them. If you had to tell me about the story, you'd break out, you'd start to get chills, you'd get excited, or your stomach would get a knot if it was something that was absolutely just horrendous in your life. But we're here now. Why does your body take on all of this stuff? Because that's the thing that's in the memory. That's the memory, is the body. And the body remembers that moment in such an emotional state. Well, that's why they say, go ahead and if you want to increase your traction, really start to dive into, meditate on your future goal of what does it feel like? What does it taste like? What does it smell like? Right? When I was talking about pulling a rope, you've all pulled a rope before. My guess is you weren't on a tug of war yesterday. So you went back to a moment where you had to pull a rope. Leslie maybe was thinking about a horse that was maybe a little wild, or trying to lasso them into the trailer. Or we were thinking about different things, right? So we all had these reference points. So here's what I'll leave you with. What is your desired level of traction? All right. Do you want to be like the H1 Hummer? Right, and be able to let some air out of your tires so you can make them flatter so that you can dig in and dive in and move forward? Be aware of when you're slipping. Do you know when you're going to slip? Do you know, right? If I walk outside and the sprinklers were on and it's 80 degrees out, I'm not even going to think about the sidewalk. But if I go outside and I ask Alexa before I leave, what's the temperature? She's going to give me a number. It's 28 degrees. When I walk outside and bust my ass on the sidewalk, I'll go, see, I should have known. It was frozen. And then where do you get your horsepower from? Truly, where do you find your energy? Where do you find your spirit? What do you do to increase your spirit? What do you do to increase your joy? And then here's the hard part. Does anybody know somebody that rebuilds cars or rebuilds engines? Okay, so you know this, Leslie, then, so what is it going to take to tear down and rebuild an engine? I could have a 65 Mustang blah, blah, blah engine. But if it hasn't been used and it could be in the box, but if it's just sitting, it had been sitting for 40 years in a garage, I'm probably going to have to take it down and clean it up and then put it back together. How many of us have had an overhaul on our engine? How many of us have had an overhaul on our spirit, on our joy? How many of us went to a proper mechanic? Because I can promise you, if Michelle said, hey, honey, my car's got a little tick in it. Could you take a look at it? Here's how I'd take a look at it. Yep, there's the engine. And I'd close the hood. She won't even ask me to take a look at it. Because I'd be tinkery enough, right? The tinkerer, how many of us know a tinkerer? And I'd tinker with it, and all of a sudden she'd go, now the damn thing doesn't even start. So what's it going to take to rebuild your engine? What do you have to do? Maybe you have to do a tear down, right? When we go on these 5-day retreats and we come back and we are so fired up, tuned in, turned on, and we got ego going, right? Energy going Godward, onward, and upward, as opposed to ego edging God out. It's the same word, but we just look at it differently. So that's what got me excited this morning. And remember I said yesterday, the stuff that's coming up in my throat when I do this, there's no cold, there's no this, but this is, I'm not going to go as far as Satan, but I'm going to say it sure ain't the angels that's making it more difficult for me to have this conversation. Because nobody wants this shit to get out. So there's no such thing as distraction. I'd have you think about that for a while, and there's only traction. We either got it or we lose it. So there you go. Stop share. Was what I meditated to this morning. So feedback, thoughts, input, output, right? In water treatment plants, so I spent 20 years, 15 years working in water treatment plants, refinery plants, chemical plants. You know how you have an inbox and outbox? In water treatment plants, somebody always funny called it influent and effluent. Shit coming in and shit going out. So feedback, ideas, thoughts, comments.
Okay, so today I'm going to be first. I'm going to jump in there before Leslie does.
Yay!
I always feel bad. Nobody says anything. Hang in there.
Oh, this is just amazing because yesterday evening I couldn't go to sleep. So I got up, not to distract my husband with me listening to stuff. I went and said, well, I got to do something because I don't want to lose my momentum for the year. I want to go into 2019, continue my momentum. The progress that I have done this year, the changes that have come in my year, I don't want to start now. Well, I'm done. It's December. Let's slow down. But I was stuck in my own mind. I couldn't do anything. So I was like, what do I have to do? Because my mentor this month was taken off doing things and his work and stuff. So I was like, I was on my own trying to get out of my funk. And I said, well, I don't know what to do. I said, what is it? And then I started doing my praying and meditation is what people call it, I guess. And I just give me something to help me to assist me, because I don't know what I'm doing. This is all new to me. And I did a change in my life this year. Well, I actually started in 18, but 19 is when I'm going to really focus on my goals deeper and all that. And it was not but 5 minutes or so after I said that, I turned on my computer. I was like, I don't go on Facebook and stuff late at night. And long and behold, guess what popped up in front of my face? It was Sean, and he offered that call. Oh my gosh, that was like a light bulb I ever saw, bright as could be. And I was like, okay. I didn't second guess it. I didn't think about it, because normally my normal state would think it through. So, well, I'll check back in the morning to see if it's still there for me to get that appointment. And I didn't do that. I wanted to not do my normal thing. I didn't want to get off of the track that I'm on. And I asked for help. And I thank you very much for offering that, Sean, because I knew that was my staying on track, staying where I am, and I had to ask for some help. And I'm not one to ask for help. So thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Well, Christine, all I can say is thanks for making me do all of that, because in 20 years of doing that, I've never put that out. So probably you, and I know this may sound crazy to you, but your draw, your desire, and our connection through time and space, because I'd never done that before. I've never went and got a booking site, a coaching, a scheduling site, and it was there. Where I'm using it on another product, and so thank you for making me put that out there for you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
It's so cool. See how we never start, right?
Yeah.
Everything is always going. And I applaud you for taking and putting your feet down, right? That's what you did. You said, I don't ever do this. I don't ever go on at night. So I call those paying attention. Don't tinkle with your inkle, right? Have any of us ever had? So don't tinkle with your inkle. If you have an inkling, follow it. That is your soul saying, hey, over here, I'm popping up for a breath of fresh air. And then I'm going to go back into the mire and the muck. So I applaud you for that. And I'm speaking to your subconscious now, not to your conscious, because your conscious mind is in a distraction of this new attraction, this new traction that you're putting in your life. So I'm speaking to your subconscious mind saying, congratulations, it's good to see you.
Thank you.
You bet. Oh, this is so awesome. We get to do this. How cool is this? Let's see if Leslie has something.
Of course I do. Of course I do. I've got your back, Sean.
I know.
You're gonna have all kinds of things to think about for the next, 5 years. Okay, so what comes to mind to me on all of this, it's really fascinating, but it really boils down to, I think, that I block myself from receiving still. That still is the biggest thing. Like I'm trying to think of, okay, so where does my horsepower come from? Well, it's there, but I'm not allowing myself to receive the horsepower, to have the gears in my hind end to propel me forward, pulling that rope.
Yep.
I'm blocked that way. So that's, I think, what I'm going to go work on today for myself.
So let's see if we can. So when you load up 10 horses in the trailer,
Mm-hmm.
you go to deliver them.
Mm-hmm.
What do you have? Can you load up, when you get to your destination, can you load up 10 more horses in that trailer?
Not until I get it off.
So use this as the example. You're afraid of receiving, but all you are is a transport.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever joy comes into you, 100 horses could come into you. How many horses do you think you've moved over your lifetime? Just
Oh my
bulk.
gosh. It's in the thousands, the high thousands, because that's what I do.
How many of us has anybody else other than Leslie ever transported a horse? let alone 1,000 of them. I don't think any of us, I don't think any of us could say we've transported horses. So here's the thing. Now we look at you as the icon, the goddess of horse transportation. You have received so much. Do you know what it's like to receive thousands of horses, their energy, their love, and some of them frustration, but the love of a horse and this instant connection?
Trust.
They are true believers of the soul that's with them. So you've gotten so much joy from delivering thousands of horses. Have you kept all of that?
Mm-mm.
So then why, and you did it because you love the animal. So I'm going to say that there's this little Leslie that's running around. Cadillac has. Okay, so he's transferred. So now you guys have a connection, you and Cadillac.
Mm-hmm.
But here's the thing. You had, in order to put more horses in your trailer, I'll ask you this question. Have you ever had inexpensive horses, and then have you ever transported thoroughbreds? What do you think the most expensive horse was you ever transported?
Because of the high level I do with the hunter jumper thing, I always have millions of dollars of horses behind me because of the numbers that I take. So probably, so I've transported more than once Olympic gold medalist horses. So we're talking upwards of $1 million just there. So it's not just racehorses that can have that price tag. So
you are an expert in transfer of $1 million solutions, right? Because the solution is to get from the starting gate to the finish line. And they pay more for ones that get them there quicker. So would it be okay if you started to rub shoulders with the idea that you've been responsible for millions and possibly hundreds of millions of dollars of success, and it only happened because you transported it?
Mm-hmm.
And the care and the love that nobody got injured? So then I'm going to say, okay, so what is it going to take for you to transport you? What would it take for you to put yourself in your own trailer? What's the qualifications? See, you would load your trailer up with dogs, right? And animals and cats and kittens and everything else, but your trailer isn't designed for that. But during the fire, if we got to move all of these dogs out of this shelter, you'd have loaded them all in the trailer, right? It was a horse trailer.
Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter at that point. There it's transportation. So what kind of trailer are you? And if you transport ideas, if you receive in these mentors that are pouring into you, if you receive these $1 million ideas, all you need to do is transport them. You don't have to hold on to them. Right? Larry sends you an idea. Taylor sends you an idea. I send you an idea. You pick up something from Elaine or Linda or Christine or Cadillac or Robert or any of us on these calls, and all of a sudden you get these ideas and you start to go, I shouldn't have that much. Well, you got room for 10 great ideas in your trailer. You probably have a bigger trailer. You got room for 100 great ideas. Why, open the damn gate. Open the freaking gate, because here's the thing. Once they get in there, we're not locking them in there. We'll tie them up. We'll secure them. We'll get them there. You'll get to tell a great story about Olympic champions that you've transported, but you delivered them, but you still have the story.
You know what's really interesting with the other day when we were choosing the word and you told me to look deeper? When I did, I actually made it ended up being like a diamond shape, which was kind of cool. But the bottom word, space, right? I need to make space to receive more in.
How cool is that?
That was very cool.
Wow, I just felt that. I just literally, wow.
Because, and it's interesting how space is showing up in all of these conversations. So I think my word will be space.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Okay, somebody else, come play with Sean. He'll unlock things in you. He's really good at it. Don't be shy.
Who else?
You're
Ideas,
being shy.
thoughts? What's popping up?
Since nobody else is talking, I'm going to talk again.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I'm getting it all in today.
There you go.
I just wanted to confirm also with my word that enough is going to be my word. It came up I don't know how many times yesterday, and there's just a reason why. Yeah, so that's my word.
Cool. And so part of your traction is, part of staying on that word is to understand the instant you're not enough, you either need better traction or more horsepower, right? Because when you're enough and the universe starts to pile on, we use all these words. I mean, it's all coming to me now. Oh man, it piled on me. Well, you didn't have enough horsepower to pull the damn thing. Go get more horsepower. So awesome. That's great, Christine. Cadillac, you had something you wanted to share. I saw you unmute.
Yeah, I unmuted myself, then I muted myself. Hey, sometimes you have to be quiet, and sometimes you have to just keep on going and say something. And that thing is when I had a daughter go, okay, she's going to have a kid herself, and you know, I had enough to. She's playing around with her own life, you know, and I told her, I said, you know, if there's anything you need, let me know. And I put myself out there, and you know, it's just like, and she goes, wow, you never said this before. You know, we're just getting a relationship. It's a communication. I lack that communication some days, a lot of days. And all these words you're talking about, it's just like, okay, you know, I guess I'm smarter than what I think I am. Because it's a motivation. And when I get on the other side, when I get done working, through the day, I don't have that motivation. I just keep on saying, okay, what can I plug into while I go from one point to the next point, my destination, driving. So, and I replug myself in and say, okay, all right, now what do I have to do? If that makes any sense.
It makes perfect sense, right? That's awesome. I appreciate you sharing, brother.
Thank you.
Who else? Ideas, concepts, something jumping in.
Hello.
Hola, Kayla.
I don't know what. Hi, everybody. I don't know what I always take like 15 or 20 minutes to think
How
if I.
cool is that? Y'all hear that? Y'all hear that? The rooster? That is so awesome.
Oh, I'm a farm girl too. Yes. Yeah. Well, see, I have to write everything I have to say to put the things together in English. So yeah, I try to understand everything and at the same time writing what I'm going to say. And I say, I hope they give me time to at least finish this and then read them. But yeah, well, I'm going to read it because if not, I forget. Okay, after yesterday, after we had that conversation, I started to think I'm the kind of person that never finish what I start, right? I know I can do the things and I know I can accomplish things, but for some reason, it's like I always sabotage myself with anything. It's like I'm always looking for a perfect reason, like saying, I quit, right? Well, I started the couple months realize that, right? I never realized that I do that, okay? So that's one thing I was thinking yesterday after we were talking. And then I was thinking about everything that everybody say. And then I started to realize after what the girl said to me, that it was a gift, like to so no matter what, love people. And I started to think about that, right? That is a gift. And so I said, well, if it is a gift and I do feel good about it, I'm gonna stop thinking if it's okay or not okay, right? Because I do feel good about it, and the girl says that is a gift, right? So that's what I come up with yesterday. But I also think about what Robert said, right? Because when Robert said that, I was like, I think I understand what he's saying, but I don't like what he's saying. But so I tried to think about his words, and I was like, should I wish that it was something different, but it's not. So I still don't like what he said, but I said, let me think about it, right? So all day I was thinking about that. And I said, well, it makes sense too. It makes sense to me because maybe given that I like taught myself to just love, and never feel anything different. Maybe that's why right now, when I feel something different, well, maybe not hate people, because I don't want to hate, I never want to hate no one. But like when I start to feel like I should get angry or say something and I don't say, I hide myself in, yes, I love. And I never say what I actually feel. And given that it's so easy for me to given that I learned that for so many years from little, now it's getting like, I started to think when Robert said that, I said, okay, that means that I probably block myself of everything else, and it's easy to me, and I started to love, right? So I come up with that decision, then I said, okay, I got angry with Robert, but then I love him, okay? But at least I said, it made me think about it and everything that he said, right? Because I also say, yeah, that's a man talking. So I was like, no, but then I understand. And thank you, Robert, for saying all those things, right? Because he really also helped me to understand some things, right? Maybe not everything yet, but some things. I'm getting there. But today, I understand with everything you're saying, Sean, that part of my traction, let's see if I get this correct. Part of my traction is the chance to help people. But then you said, you can't help people if you don't have money. So I was like, yeah, it makes a lot of sense, because how can I go out? Well, there's a lot of ways to help people, but if you don't have no money, I mean, you're not even have the feeling, right? So I say, my traction is knowing that every day I help someone, knowing that every day I accomplish something to help someone, to smile to someone, to love someone, to tell them good things. That's my traction. But my distraction is now my distraction, because I understand now when I start to say that the older I get, I start to think more about if it's okay, if it's good or it's not good, if it's right or it's not right. So I realized today that my distraction is when I stop to think if it's okay or not. And I've been spending the last 2 or 3 weeks thinking if it is okay to be that way or it is not okay. And then I stop doing what I like. So thank you, Sean, and thank you everybody, because today I realized that I'm stopping myself to doing my traction, being distracted, of thinking if what I'm doing is good or not. So thank you, and I didn't write anything else. So.
Kayla, I love you so much. And folks, could you imagine? So tomorrow morning, in my best Spanish, we're gonna do. You would come to this Wake Up Daily Awakening, and it would be all in Spanish. How many of you would sit there? How many of you would actually stay on the call and be comfortable enough to say you're uncomfortable with everything you learned, and you? Necesito cambio todas las palabras de español en inglés. I needed to translate everything. How many of you would have the courage to do that? I hope that speaks volume to what we're doing here, that our level, if you think you're too big to be uncomfortable, I would encourage you to use Kayla as an amazing, powerful woman example who sometimes doesn't think she's all that powerful. But yet we all just saw her vulnerability. And this is how we all need to look at this. Her vulnerability this morning is where we get our strength. How freaking cool is that? When Leslie goes, okay, Sean, I'm going to give you 5 years of content right here. We're all like going, oh my God, she's going to open her heart again. And when Christine goes, okay, I'm going to jump in, right? So we use all of these tools to make it easier for our own soul to go, what the hell are you doing speaking out? So Kayla, I applaud you. I honor you. I love you, because what you're doing to inspire me, I'm just going to speak. I can't speak for anybody else, but I think you're doing a pretty damn good job with them too. But who's got the chutzpah? Who's got the guts to go, Bob, I didn't like what you were saying. And I love it. No, Kayla, I love it. There was not a single mean thing, but we need to be more open like that. Bob, you pissed me the hell off. But understanding that the community that comes together, if we agree, if you and I agree on everything, we don't need one of us. We need to be challenged, right? When Linda and Ven talk about words from the good book and they inspire from ministry, that's a challenge. When Leslie talks about, I don't like, I'm a powerful woman and I've not taken care of myself, that's a challenge. When I talk about, I'm scared. We had a Christmas party that I had Lisa Grossman, Curtis Broom, right? If we're talking about network marketing, Lisa Grossman, Curtis Broom, they're my family. Jessie Lee Ward was at the house, and her beau, Joseph, and my other, right? It was Christmas Eve, so it was Christmas with the Jews, because they don't, and they were all going to Chinese restaurants the next day. But because there was something so overpowering, I couldn't sit at the table. I just couldn't. I'm telling you this because there's a moment where it was too loud, it was too something, and I was sitting outside at the back porch, and people are like, oh my God, all of those people sitting there, and their family. I'm gonna go move she's going to a meeting in Louisville, Kentucky. Lisa, Curtis, and Jessie are getting on a plane to go to Kentucky. I'm going to Jessie's house because her moving truck's coming in. They're family. But even with family, sometimes it gets overwhelming. And I choose to, when they make me uncomfortable, to just not be in that state. But I'll look at it and use it as a leverage. So Kayla, what you just said, that all of these things, like, again, Bob challenged you, and you're like, well, why would I ever want to go look at what resources am I missing because I wasn't mad? That was brilliant. That was brilliant, but that's experience. So again, thank you, Kayla, for just being this amazing soul, this amazing human being who's wrapped up in this beautiful woman full of energy, right? And I love that. Well, that's a guy talking. I laughed. I love it. But you're right. Our brains are different, and we're always trying to fix stuff. But Bob has been through enough shit that he understands the brain works the way the brain works, and how we can all help each other. That is so awesome. Anyone else want to share?
So Caleb, I'm so impressed with you because you did it. You did exactly what Bob was telling you. to do yesterday. You found balance. You still are in your place of love, but you didn't like what he said and you stood up for yourself. That's absolutely what he was talking about. So props, girl. That's awesome.
That's cool.
Done.
Oh, I love what I get to do. This is so cool. Anyone else has something that's zinging in their heart and in their space? If not, we'll let you back to the traction mill. So here's what I'll leave you with. You are all absolutely brilliant lights. And that old expression, never light a lantern and put it under a basket. Don't put it under a bushel basket. You've got music inside of you. Part of letting your music out is when you leave the pack, right? Because now that you get your traction and you're not going to let the distraction, right? You're not going to let your life slip away. You're not going to let your life get pulled away. You're going to leave some of your group. You're going to pull away from the pack. And so all I can let you know is that we're all pulling away. We're all moving in a direction for more, not less. And when you feel lost, go into Daily Awakening, go into the Facebook community and say, I'm lost. Let us pour more light into you. Let us pour some sand under your wheels so you can have more traction. Let us be the chains that you can wrap yourself up in that will allow you to stay moving forward. Because I can promise you, everyone in here, I know if I ask for help, they'd be there in a heartbeat. And some of us, we've never met in time and space. We've only met through this digital technology. But I can also promise you this, if you ask for my help, I'll be there as well, and as well as everybody else. So all I can say is thank you. You're all misfits. I love that we're high energy misfits, and together we fit together and make this puzzle. So have an amazing day. You're blessed. You blessed me with your joy, and I wish you great success today. And I'll see you where? At the next event. Bye for now, everybody. Kisses and hugs.